To what extent did television influence the American family in the 50s? Was TV truly emulating life? Or was life emulating TV? And what other factors might have affected the 50s family? TV always seems to be dramatizing things. But how powerful was this effect in the 50s? Let's start with the basic rise of television and see what truths we can figure out.
Well, okay, let's send for it. But an 8-foot alligator for only $2.50. There must be a catch to it.
But Wally, they wouldn't let him print Robot Men of Mars unless it was the truth.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
It wasn't until the AT&T company in 1949 finished installing the coax cables all over the country that TV was a unifying factor. These cables were able to carry telephone and television signals from one spot in the country to anywhere else. Television changed America in a way that wouldn't come again until the invention of the Internet. Because networks were able to broadcast the same thing at the same time all across the country, there were no more rural separations. People in cities were watching the same thing as people out in the farms. Regional differences were ironed out as the country had something to collectively talk about. Before the Internet, TV was the most effective way to get information out there because everyone was watching the same thing. With a wider audience, TV during the 50s grew. The number of stations from 1949 to 1969 grew from 69 to 566. The amount of advertisements paid went from $58 million in 1949 to $1.5 billion in 1969. Also, when television grew, the genres of shows grew to include favorites like Western, kids' cartoons, situational comedies, game shows, dramas, news, and sporting programs. Perhaps we could argue that television had such a great effect during this time because of its fast-growing popularity. But still, what do we see in TV that is like the real households? Let's take a look at what real 50s families were like.
Who are you looking for?
I'm looking for a feller named Risky Riscardo.
I'm Ricky Ricardo.
Oh, well, pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you.
You know where I find Risky Riscardo?
More and more women were getting married before the age of 25. Up to 70% of women were married by the age of 24 in 1960. In decades before, marriages and birth rates suffered because of depression troubles and wartime separation. Perhaps the reason that people were getting married so early was because they were afraid it would never happen, or that tribulations down the road would keep them from raising a family like their parents. Instead, young couples rushed to get married while it appeared that things were on the up. We already know that the 50s was a time of post-war economic rise. It makes sense then that many people saw the 50s as a good time to start a family because the man's job seemed secure, the economy was stable, and the unemployment rate was way down. Some women even took jobs outside of the home, which added to the family's income. Even though most families lived in small development homes, many were able to afford bigger suburban houses in later years. Even though the 50s were edging towards the height of the Cold War, and many pamphlets and magazines emphasized bunker mentality, most people in the 50s dismissed the threat of nuclear war with the USSR as incredibly unlikely. This information would suggest that the 50s was to some level unconcerned when it came to foreign affairs. Cold War nuclear reminders were everywhere, public spaces, on the newscasts, but most people seemed to ignore it. Other media influencing the family may have been magazines, psychiatrists, educators, journalists, and religious leaders. All seemed to promote marriage and family as essential to personal well-being, and if one was not married or did not have a family, it was seen as a personal deficiency. In addition, there were even state laws that limited grounds for divorce. Also, birth control methods were very limited. This was due to the fact that the FDA had not approved the pill until 1960. In addition, family planning was only seen as necessary if the couple in question had a low income and could not support children financially. Social factors, legal factors, and medical factors all seem to be working together to promote the growth of families in the 50s.
Now, someday you're going to grow up and go off and leave your mother and me. You'll get married and have a home and a family of your own. Do you understand what I'm getting?
One factor that may have worked against the 50s family, however, was the economy. Even though the economy was growing, it was also transitioning into a higher percentage of lower-paying job sectors. Many people were able to benefit from the economic rise, but those who were stuck and unable to climb out of the lower-paying job sectors suffered and did not start families because they could not financially support children. From this, I think we can assume that having a family was promoted because in the 2 decades before, the family suffered, and the 50s was a time of peace, so having a family was a sign of stability, and that was something to strive for. Now that we've seen what the real families were like, let's take a look at what was on television. Most shows promoted moral standards such as responsibility.
I'm kind of proud of those kids. Do you realize it's practically impossible to raise an alligator to that size?
Mm-hmm.
And being a good citizen.
We need a little more action around here. Active participation is the basis of good citizenship. Don't you kids realize that the habits you form here at home are the ones you're going to take with you into your community life? A good citizen doesn't
These moral lessons are always stated rather than implied. Furthermore, children demonstrate an unrealistic amount of obedience towards their parents.
Boys, and change your clothes.
Couldn't we watch TV first, Dad?
Do what your father tells you to.
Come on, up you go.
This type of obedience parents only dream about in today's world.
I don't know which is going to go first, the ceiling or my nerves.
To add to the apparent ease of 50s television-style parenting, problems are usually superficial and easily fixed.
What is it? It's about Bud.
He's leaving home.
Oh, Jim. Well, you know the school dance at the country club next Friday night? Well, Bud is going.
Bud's going to a dance?
He doesn't even know how to dance.
Not only that, he'd have to take a girl.
He's taking a girl.
As you can see, the most important thing in the Anderson family's lives right now is that Bud is going to a dance when he doesn't know how to dance. Gender stereotypes also appear. Jane Cleaver and Margaret Anderson, the happy stay-at-home housewives in Leave It to Beaver and Father Knows Best, are always wearing pearls and heels to do housework in. Any housewife nowadays would laugh outright at that. These stereotypes even tell women how they should look.
Powder was spilt all over, and my pancake makeup is missing.
Now, don't tell me someone's trying to sabotage your natural, heaven-sent beauty.
What they should weigh.
I weigh exactly the same as I did when we were married. Well, I do.
Oh, come now.
Oh, Lucy, you're among friends. Let's be honest. I am honest. When Ricky and I were married, I weighed 110, and I weigh exactly that right now.
And the type of duties they should be performing.
You know what I want. All I want you to do is just clean the house.
Oh, I've been cleaning the house ever since I got home.
And hand me my pipe.
And cook for you and be the mama for your children.
Let's see you pull that out of your pocket.
Stereotypes for boys include being strong and able to defend yourself.
How's the other kid look?
All right.
All right. Well, you must have got in a couple of good licks, didn't you?
No, sir.
You mean you didn't fight back?
No, sir.
Well, what did you do? You must have done something.
I ran away.
You ran away?
Ward, you're frightening him.
Well, it frightens me a little, too. A boy running away.
And that father is always in control of his family.
Hello, Daddy. Goodbye, Bud. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, Kathy. Kathy. Bud, where are you going?
I'm going over to Joe Phillips for a little while. I'll see you later, huh?
In conclusion, I believe that television was a great influence on American culture because it was essentially the first internet, so its reach was widely spread. Also, after the 2-decade period of chaos after the 1930s Depression and the 1940s World War, the safe and stable families on television seemed like something good to aspire to be. Television families were greatly unrealistic, but they were pleasing to the average American, and thus set a goal to be obtained. Television may not have invented the 50s household, but it did romanticize it, giving Americans some image of perfection to strive for.